And now our speaker, Linda Rush. She started out last week in a bottle.
Yeah, I'm gonna do it again. And you'll have to take away my driver's license.
You okay there?
But I'm pumped,
Yeah.
right? But I'm pumped. So, pardon some of the boo-boos in all the script and everything this week, because I just picked up this job and then I picked up speaking, and so I probably blew through some of this, without double checking. So send a little grace. Let's see, how do I not mess Pat up? Okay, so if you weren't present for last week's talk, it might help if you listen to the recording for that, because that might fill in the blanks on how I found the 4 messages in bottles. But today, the 2 that I'm going to talk about are standalone, so to speak. So it's not going to mess up if you weren't here last week. So when I picked up the 2 bottles that I'm talking about today, when I picked everything up, it was the weekend of Easter. And it was also the weekend of the seal pup on Patterson Beach. That was a saga that made quite an impression on me, and it sort of changed how I feel about the beach. What happened was that early on Thursday morning, I took our dog Piper down to the beach for a walk and met some friends who were just returning from their walk, who pointed out that not many yards from the end of that entryway to the beach lay a newly born seal pup. Now, these friends were concerned mostly about keeping their dog away due to the viruses that seals carry, but Piper could care less and ignored it, so I got a good look. The pup was clearly alive, apparently so newly born that its eyes were not even quite open. How unfortunate, I thought, that the mother didn't know better than to deliver her pup right there, where without anyone knowing it, they have to walk by. They have to actually break the law. And on Easter weekend, no less, with all the children and the dogs, the extra traffic would surely create an untenable situation. I had a real sense of dread about the outcome for that pup. As Piper and I walked away, I passed another woman, and I just couldn't get settled, and seeing that helpless baby laying there at low tide with no mom in sight, I commented to the woman, "Must have been a first-time mom." She laughed and said, "Well, maybe she'll get it right next time around." I went home and I tried to find information on seal strandings in our area. I just couldn't let it go. That was Thursday. We traveled to Medford on Friday, had appointments on Saturday, so it wasn't until early Easter morning that I went back to walk the dog, expecting to see the worst, but the pup wasn't in the same spot. I thought it must have washed away. So you can imagine my surprise when, quite a bit further down the beach, I see the same seal pup. It was very much alive and clearly some pounds larger, with his or her eyes round as saucers, fixed right on me. "Ma!" he or she barked and began to follow me with its eyes as I came near. To my horror, the pup began to ungulate as fast as it could across the sand in my direction. I made an arc in the sand. I made an arc in creating distance, watching in amazement as the seal pup drew the same arc in the sand, trying to follow me. Geez, I thought about those nature films about ducklings bonding to humans, and I started to panic. "Not me," I said to this pup. "I don't have what you need." Piper and I picked up the pace to get out of its sight as fast as we could. But I was elated. What an amazing miracle. The mom had obviously made more than one trip up the sand over the last few nights. And yet I also knew from those nature films that seal pups need time to develop the right kind of fur to be able to take off from open beach into the water. How it had survived this long was amazing as how hard it would be for it to continue to be left there in the open. It was with great anticipation that I headed back to the beach the next morning. Now, like a lot of people, I used to delight in the sight of bald eagles. One time, years ago, I got really close to a bald eagle that was protecting a halibut carcass on the beach and trying to keep it away from some crows. So I snuck up while it wasn't looking, and its head turned around, and the icy look that its eyes told me that it would gladly remove my fingers if I were to try to touch it. But it was a sickening sight for me to see our local eagle parents perched on that big washed up tree, teaching their 2 adolescent young how to scavenge a dead seal pup. Piper and I headed quickly away, even though the birds were currently too satisfied to want to pick up a 12-pound dog. The pristine beach had become a place of danger and death. If you watch any of David Attenborough's nature documentaries, the theme is frequently about mothers in search of food for their babies and also protecting them from predators. It's always somewhat of a paradox. Which mother do you root for? It's all in the perspective of whichever mother is the star of the episode. Babies need food, but babies seem to always be food. I've seen documentaries on orca moms teaching their young to force themselves up onto the sand to grab seal pups, even in nurseries, special havens intended for safety. What about pups in the open? What if they're left there? Is that normal here? Or was this abnormal behavior for a mother? Did she abandon her pup? Did she pick the wrong setting? Or did the pup move too far away where she couldn't find it? Was she not willing to sacrifice her own safety at some point? Are the eagles bad because they are opportunists? Or are they just good parents? Of course, I was anthropomorphizing. Animals just do what they do by their very nature. Incidentally, only a few short weeks later, I marveled to watch and listen as those same eagle parents fought off their own adolescents who were trying to return to the nest. In the context, then, of wondering about the qualities of a good mother as best as I can understand in the animal kingdom, I found the messages in the bottles. Today's message, the third message that I'm going to talk about, started simply with the date, April 18th, 2025, and she writes, "My life is changing as it does. After spending my life taking care of others, kids, husband, 15 years caretaking for my parents in wheelchairs, 40 plus years teaching Sunday school, volunteering for many nonprofits, I, at 64, 65 and 2 months, am choosing to do for me. I'm waiting to hear about a scholarship to start school to become a death and dying doula." In case you aren't familiar with this occupation, here is doula defined. Basically, a doula can be like a midwife. A doula can be like hospice. In this case, she's a death and dying doula student. She explains, "With 3 national certificates, it will allow me to work within all 50 states, hospitals, hospices, nursing homes, etc., to help my family and friends deal with death and dying. Death without suffering. I want to help the dying to have a good death without regrets. I'm lucky to be alive, having beat 2 cancer diagnoses. One was stage 4 kidney, where I lost my left kidney. I've been a caregiver for friends and family through death and dying, and I know this is where God is calling me to serve. I've done my research. I've taken the first introductory class. I've read the book for the start of the courses. I've spoken to my closest confidants, and most importantly, I had long talks with my husband and my children, and I have received the confirmation that I was hoping to get. I'm moving forward. Like I know in my heart, mind, and soul, I wasn't going to die, even though my cancer surgeon gave me 4 months to live with a stage 4 diagnosis. I know I'm going to be the best me ever doing the work I'm supposed to be doing." Sending this So this, okay, sending this message into the universe is my way of taking the next step. I'm doing this. There's no turning back. My hope for whoever finds this is that you are encouraged in your own life to know it's never too late to start again. Don't get stuck in believing you're too young, you're too old, you're too poor, you're unworthy, or too whatever it is that holds you back. You're not. Free your mind of whatever is holding you back. Be brave. Take that first step and do you. Life is short. Live your best life and then have a good death with no regrets. My name is Patty. Text me, and she includes her number. If you find this message in a bottle and are encouraged to be the best version of you, my email is, and she included her email. I would love to be your friend in this crazy, wonderful world, your encourager, your supporter, your best listener. Make your dreams reality. I'm praying for you. First of all, Patty has clearly taken the role of Divine Mother, as we discussed last week, in her anonymous support of whomever might be the recipient of her encouragement and her extension of love. Also, Patty is trying to live out one of Unity's core principles. We're co-creators with God, creating our own reality through our thoughts and beliefs about what is possible, like beating a cancer diagnosis. She says, free your mind of whatever holds you back. It strikes me that Patty spent her whole adult life perceiving herself as sacrificing her freedom to do for herself for being a caregiver to others. But now that she's not being held back, what is she choosing to do? Training to be a caregiver for others. So maybe she has been doing exactly what she was designed to do, created to do and pursue all along. Maybe we all are, no matter how it looks. Remember what I claimed last week. As it states in the Course in Miracles, there are no accidents. It also teaches that there are no victims. There is no sacrifice. Of course, our egos may want to define it as such, but that amounts to giving away our true power, our divine nature, God in us and as us, guiding us all along the way. What is divine nature in humanity? If George and I ever stop moving, I'm going to find a book that equated the forces of universal energy to the divine aspects of God. It goes something like, the tendency for the universe to expand is in effect the love of the divine Father extending God's self into creation. What holds it all together, the electromagnetism, if you will, necessary for matter and form to cohere, is the love of the Divine Mother, holding everything within herself. When I find the book, I'll see if that's accurate. More familiar to me is a metaphor that I've seen used in various writings, which characterizes God's nature as reflected in the giving and receiving aspects of creation. It's easy to see that metaphor by the role of the sun in our solar system, where the sun symbolizes the fatherhood of God, and the extension, with that extension of energy into the universe, the planets and the planetary life forms receive that energy like our own Mother Earth and reflect it back. That symbolism also plays out in the animal kingdom through the sexual extension and receptivity of the different males and females of most species. From a spiritual perspective, it is God's loving nature to extend God's self into continuous creation. There are various scriptures depicting all of creation reflecting back that love to its source. We human beings are also designed to complete that circuitry of love, so to speak, when we experience divinity reflected in the natural world and when we discover divinity within ourselves. Now, having said all of that, I have read that the best example of the completion of that circuit of love is Mary, the mother of Jesus. For example, I have read in the book A Course of Love, and also in Richard Rohr's book, The Universal Christ, the image given for all of us to emulate of Mary, the mother of Jesus. Mary serves as the example for us of the divine receiver. What it boils down to in the life of Mary is that she says yes. She says yes to God. Not just, okay, I'll subject myself to the personal saga of an out of wedlock pregnancy, or yes, I will suffer the confusion and loss of carrying and raising an abnormal child by all cultural standards and then stand present to witness his crucifixion. Mary's yes and reception of God is a complete soul-changing transformation into what Richard Rohr calls the feminine incarnation. Mary says yes to carrying Christ within herself. In the book A Course of Love, Jesus is presented as the male prototype and Mary, his mother, as the female prototype of the embodiment of Christ on earth. One is doing, teaching, extending truth, and one is being, receiving, reflecting truth. In this way, Mary too then represents what is the final stage in spiritual evolution of humanity itself. She embraces God's revelation of love for her and in her, and this ecstatic experience is reflected back in a song of praise to God that is recorded in the first chapter of Luke. My soul proclaims your greatness, O God, and my spirit rejoices in me. And from this inner knowing, Mary is equipped to somehow handle the role of being the mother of Jesus, who acts out the Christ within himself. Mary receives God's action. She says yes to God. I'm yours, God. Let it be so. As Paul McCartney immortalized her, speaking words of wisdom. Let it be. Yes. Richard Rohr also points out that it is this very willingness to let things be, to trust divine action and divine order, and to trust divine presence and purpose that makes Mary the icon for the central unifying aspect of our divine nature, which is unconditional love. Rohr writes, Mary represents the great yes that humanity forever needs for the universal Christ to be discovered within our hearts and born into the world. And so finally, we have the last message that begins to the person that finds this bottle. First, thank you for believing that all things happen for a reason. There you go. I'm asking for your help so that I can bless my beautiful mother. You see, by the time this message gets to you, there's the strong possibility that I will no longer be alive. Today is April 19, 2025, and I'm fighting against stage 4 breast cancer, and I don't know how long I'll live. With this in mind, I'm asking that you call my mother and give her the following message. Mom, I'm sending you a small reminder that I'm still here with you. I'm watching from above and counting the days until we can be together again. I hope with all my heart that you are happy. You know how important that is to me. Please remember to keep living every day with joy. And please be having and doing amazing things. I love you and miss you more than you'll ever know. You have always been my angel on earth. Keep living, Mama. We'll be together soon. Love, Jessica. And then she adds, please contact Carol at, and she includes her mother's number, in the United States of America, Spokane. Last week, I shared with you my sense of the honor of holding these messages. and that God knows that I have an audience. So I chose to bring these messages to you so that we can pray for Jessica and reach out to her mother, and we can pray for Patty's aspirations and the blessings of her work. And I will follow up in some way to find out how Jessica is doing, and I will personally commit to support her mom if and when she might need it. But I'm offering these messages to you as well, with the idea that someone here will be moved by this knowledge to join with me in doing in some way something for them, or in some way or ways. In addition, I had some thoughts to share about this last message. It stands in some contrast, I think, to the first message. Not that it didn't exemplify strength and courage and hope, it certainly did. What struck me was her stance toward her illness. We place great faith here in Unity Circles that our thoughts create our manifest experience. This writer believes that she's losing the fight for her physical body, or she has not the will to fight. And she's putting that belief into words here. There's very powerful energy expressed here toward leaving this world. And yet, very powerful faith in an eternal life and a belief in reuniting with her mother. This may just reflect how much power she gives the world of Western medicine, and or an inner acceptance that everything in this world is temporary. But notice something here. No matter what happens, she has said yes to it. As Mary said to God, "Let it be unto me according to your word." Nothing about this situation, be it illness or even death, is going to stop this woman from being an expression of love. Notice also the similarity with the first letter. This woman, Jessica, is in the process of caregiving as well. But she goes so far as to create a way to caregive an elder from beyond the grave, and to create a presence that she imagines will escort her mother into the non-physical. I'm pretty darn sure that one of these last two women that I've talked about, shared their messages today, was the ring leader or co-ring leaders of that group effort to go out and reach out into the world and extend their love by messages in bottles. But in so doing, they embodied divine love, exhibited an awareness at some level that our thoughts are prayers, and made a gesture to display their faith that all of us are in this together as one. Thank you for your attention and for giving me the opportunity to share the hearts of these women.